case, I wanted to just give the guys a few ground rules. This is an affinity group regarding young youth workers who are working with young people that are in the performing arts or creative in any way whatsoever, and in those spaces. So let's take an opportunity to equip each other, empower each other, share some best practices and what have you. You're going to hear from my moderators here in a second. I'm going to give these guys some ground rules real quick. You got to have ground rules these days because people like to come up with all kind of stuff. They just invent on the fly. So, so in order to prevent some of that, keep your audio muted unless you're talking, giving commentary, asking questions, etc. Okay. We're going to ask that you keep your video unmuted. All right, for the sake of transparency, healthy engagement, and that way we can see your nonverbal communication as well. All right. If in fact you have anything inappropriate in your wall behind you that would dishonor God in any way, we're asking that you would blur your background or use the blurred feature if necessary. All right. Comments and questions, because this is a 60-minute conversation and I'm taking up 5 of it already. Keep your comments and questions to a minute or less if you can. All right. And if you don't, then I got a whistle that I will blow, and it's annoying. You don't want to hear it. Please use the chat for positive interactions, resources, contact information, etc. We'll talk a little bit more about that. If you are in transit, driving for any means whatsoever, please do not use the chat. Please keep your eyes on the road and pull over or park. I have to give this disclaimer. DVULI is not responsible for any harm done to you while you are on this call and driving, okay? We're not going to give any AI permissions because we're actually going to send you a link to the conversation. Everybody that's on the call and even everybody that registered that's not even here. Today, we're going to ask especially everybody, if you wouldn't mind dropping your name in the chat, city where you're from, and one short thing you hope to gain from this conversation today. Name, city, one gain, if you will, from this conversation would be great. And you can start that right now. I do want to just say and acknowledge my colleague, Stephanie Donovan, who's in the house. She is the producer for our affinity groups and an esteemed colleague as well. It would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge one of our key trainers, Jeremy Del Rio, who's joined the call as well, one of our stakeholders in New York City. And then, my man, Benita, who's also one of our liaisons on our team as well. Welcome. She's our moderator also. On that note, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our moderators for the day or for this conversation. We have Randy Mason out of New York City. Welcome, Randy. And also Benita Hopkins out of the Oakland Bay, San Francisco area, West Coast, Northern California. I'm gonna let them tell you more about what they do, who they are, but I'm gonna turn it over to Randy. And Randy, you can take it from there, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Gerald. What's going on, everybody? Good to see y'all. Good to be here. As Mr. Bell said, my name is Randy Mason, and I'm a hip-hop artist and percussionist from the Bronx, New York City. I have the great privilege of working with Jeremy Del Rio at Thrive Collective, where we create hope and opportunity in and around schools through the arts and mentoring. So we work with young people in schools all across the city, facilitating hip hop, music, programs and projects, as well as murals, media, mentoring, sports. And it's just a super honor to be here with you all. DVULI has been super impactful in my life. And so I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I'm going to pass the mic to my co-facilitator, Miss Benita.
Thanks, Randy. I'm Benita. I'm a 2015 San Francisco DVULI alumnus, and I am, music educator, have been for over 20 years, vocalist and string teacher primarily with students and others alike, students and adults. But so glad to be here, so glad to meet some new faces. And Mike Dean is my maiden name. So we might need to talk later. We might be related. But just wanted to throw that in there. But glad to be here. So Randy, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Right on, right on. So we have a model, an exercise that we would like to introduce to help us kind of just guide the conversation This is something that we've used at Thrive Collective on our team meetings, and also something that we've have facilitated with some of our students as well. Um, so I'm gonna introduce it real quick, and it's basically a self-reflection exercise, and it's called Fact, Fib, or Future. Right? Fact, fib, or future. And one of the models that we like to implement when working with young people in schools is I do, we do, you do. So in the spirit of I do, we do, you do, Miss Benita and I, we're gonna kind of demonstrate what this looks like, and then as a group, we're gonna have an opportunity to do the exercise together. And the idea ultimately is that, like I said, it's self-reflection. So it's for us, but it's also a tool that we can use with the students that we serve, with the creatives that we serve, that will hopefully help them to, arrive at a place where they're thriving and flourishing and growing in the arts and the endeavors that they all aspire to. So fact, fib, or future. Those are the questions, and Benita's gonna set it off. She's gonna ask me the questions. I'm gonna answer, and hopefully this will be help clarify the idea of this game.
All right. So, Randy,
Yes.
I have a question for you, my brother.
What is
What
the
is something that is true about you today? Give me a fact about Randy Mason.
something that is true about me today is that I have a gift worth sharing. I have a gift that God has given me that's worth sharing with students and others.
Okay. So you have this gift.
Yes.
How sure are you of this gift? Do you ever
Mhm.
second guess, or does your subconscious mind fib
Mhm.
a little with you? And
Yeah, more often than I would like to admit. Right, which introduces the fib component of what are the lies that we commonly believe, right? What are those lies and those false narratives that we allow into our minds as creatives, as leaders, as mentors? And so yes, Benita, definitely something that I wrestle with and struggle with. Um, and a lot of times how that lie shows up in my life is that my work or what I create determines my value and my self-worth. So like as an artist, I'm like, okay, the project is great and it's received well, then I feel like you know what I mean? I have more self-worth and I feel better about like who I am. But that I'm learning is not true. It's,
okay,
uh-huh.
all right. So you have these fibs that you tell yourself, right?
That's
These
right. I don't
neg
know if anybody else can relate to that, but yes, sometimes I
these
do have these lies. Yes. Mhm.
these negatives. I'm sure. Can I get a nod from others? Do you? Yes, we all have those, I'm sure, because we are in this flesh. So
That's right.
what evidence
Mm.
debunks those thoughts,
Mhm.
those fibs that your mind tells yourself?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of evidence. So like you said, the truth, the fact is that I have a gift worth sharing. The fib, the lie that I commonly tell myself is that my self-worth is tied up in the things that I create or the projects that I'm a part of, whether they're successful or not successful. And I know that is a lie because we're able to debunk that lie um, several ways. One is that when I get home every day, my kids don't really care about the art I'm creating, and they love me very much, and they show me love, regardless of how the project went. And so that's one evidential truth of like, wow, okay, I have people in my life who care about me, and it's not contingent upon my art, my project, my work, or anything that I'm um, a part of. And the second thing is that scriptural, right? That I'm made in the image of God. I was made in the image of God and I'm loved by God. And I'm a person and not a project. And so what I create, whether that's artistically or even professionally, working with students in schools, projects I'm a part of do not define me.
Right, that's right. So what could be the future possibility then for
Mhm.
you with you had this, you know, your well-being, your wealth, right? What
Mhm.
you have to bring to the table, your creativeness.
Mhm.
You have these lies basically that come upon you that you tell yourself. You figure out how to debunk those.
Mhm.
How do you carry that into the future?
Into the future.
Yes.
Yes. I think a future possibility for me as a mentor of creatives and as a creative myself is that I can learn to create from a place of contentment. I can work from rest and not for rest, or from peace, not for peace. Like, kind of start in a place that is healthy and therefore not uh, overly attached to outcomes. Create from a place of contentment and model that for my students so that they could also adopt a healthy mindset like that.
Okay. So tell us more about that. How do you do that?
Bada bing, bada boom. I do it by practicing fact, fit with future. Now, well, this is just a framework, as if you might be able to notice. This is just an exercise to reframe things. It's like, okay, what is true about me, or what is true about the situation? What are some lies that kind of come in and are deceiving me about who I am or what I do? How do we debunk that? And then what's the future possibility? So yes, Benita, I try to basically use models like this to take a step back and reframe um, what I'm looking at. And so hopefully I can have a more robust view um, of things. Again, as a creative myself, but also I'm thinking about our students and the people that we serve, like how helping them to utilize this tool so they could also reframe and see things differently.
Okay. All right.
Boom. And so now there you have it. That was the I do portion of the I do, we do, you do. So now we're going into the we do of it all, where we're gonna pose these questions to you all. And you're gonna take a few minutes to put it in the chat. And then we might have some time for folks to share a little bit. And we'll just go one question at a time. But the first question is the fact, and that is what is true about you as a creative today. Um, Period. What is true about you as a creative today?
And feel free to just put it in the chat.
That's right.
And you don't all have to put it in the chat at the same time.
Let's see.
Hmm. I see that, Mike. Creativity is limitless.
Hmm.
It's good. Hmm. I'm a magnet when it comes to young people. Good. Good positive things about yourselves. Good job.
Mhm. Give about maybe 60 more seconds for folks to add on. I am consistent. Excellent.
Good.
Oh, the Mason tribe brings us great joy. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. That is wonderful. Okay, so these are some truths, right? My value as a creative flows out of my relationship with the
Mm.
truth day by day. That's,
Amen.
that's a whole bar.
Yep.
It is a bar.
Yes.
Okay, so these are some truths these are some things we know to be true about us as creatives and about the people we serve. Benita, you want to take us to the next question?
Well,
Or
before we go there, do
yeah.
we have,
Mhm.
can, I would like for Mike to just take 1 minute to tell us creativity is limitless.
Mm.
Talk to us about that. But you got to come off mute though.
Yeah, you know, when I think about, because creativity is always evolving, time is always changing, technology is changing, and I think you just kind of got to figure out ways to ride the wave of change.
Mm,
And I think creativity is a byproduct of how you treat change.
mm. Good. That's good. All right. That really expounded it even more than what I
Mm.
was thinking. Good job. So now we're going to flip it. What fibs, particularly, well, any of you actually, but what fibs do you tell yourself?
Mm.
And that's any of you. You can put those in the chat as well. Mm. I am detailed oriented, someone said.
Mhm.
I have to make it happen. All of the it's. Yeah.
All of it is. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm too old to keep up with the trends of today's youth.
These are good. So, what evidence debunks the junk that we hear?
Mm.
When you say,
I'm
Jeremy,
just going to pop in a second here, Benita. I think we have a small enough group where people can kind of pop in and share their thoughts
yeah,
Mhm.
I think so
rather
too.
than managing this in chat.
Okay.
Mhm. Other people get to determine my value. Wow.
That's good.
You were going to ask, I think I heard you, Jeremy.
I was going to ask Jeremy, how would you debunk your having to make your it's happen?
Mm.
Um, well, the evidence that contradicts that is number one, the things that happen that are the most memorable and meaningful for me always happen with other people in a team.
Mm.
When I'm a lone ranger, then it's forgettable for me and probably more forgettable for everyone else.
Good.
And then second bit of evidence is when I'm relying on my own strength, I'm burned out and
Mhm.
fatigued and exhausted. And when I'm leaning into the source of strength, not to sound too cliche, but leaning into him, um, energy abounds, grace abounds.
Mm.
That's good. Anyone else?
I thought Thomas had his hand up.
Mm.
I missed it, Thomas. Come off mute. Talk to us, brother. Maybe not.
I'll share. I'll say that what debunks my lies, that I'm allowed to see myself through God's eyes and to lean into the fullness of who God has created me to be.
Mm.
That's good.
Yeah, for me, I put that, I'm too detailed oriented.
Mm.
One of the things that debunks that, though, is, it cuts down on misinterpretation, misunderstandings, and it helps get, I guess, to the point, or saves time or what have you. And then it also increases, understanding. And then when it comes to, like, for example, if it's administratively or documents, then you can always, when people don't remember, you can always go back to something that was, put in writing or what have you.
Mm.
Mm.
So I had written the same thing Benita wrote, and it was interesting because I started laughing because I feel like, well, I don't want to say I feel like I'm too old, but what I had written on my paper is I am not up to date with the times due to my age.
Mm.
What debunks that is that old, the word old is not in my vocabulary.
That's right. That's right. Yep. I like that.
And I would just add to that, that the students that we're working with, they don't need us to be trendy. They just need us to be present.
Yes.
Well, and let me say something behind that too. We also need to know their language.
Yes. Yes.
Because if we're in a setting with our youth and we're teaching and they have this other stuff going on in the room, we need to be conscious of what they're saying. So I that's all I have to say.
That's good.
That is good. Yeah. I ask my students all the time. I'm like, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Put me
Yes.
on that lingo, that slang. I'm not familiar. What is this about? And sometimes when they get like shy about it, I know it's probably something inappropriate. And then I learn it elsewhere. I do my research. I'm like, oh, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, that's good. But to your point also, yeah, it's we don't have to try to play a part or be somebody we're not. But it's good to be aware and knowledgeable of what's going on in this space. And show up as the person that we are. Sure.
Well, I don't know how many of you can depend on your grandchildren. I can. So I have a 9-year-old and a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old that's around me, and they help me out a lot with that. So I thank God for them. And I thank God that, they're trying to help their, and my name's Kana, it's not grandma. They call me Kana, that they try to help their Kana out in the midst of, the younger generation. So
That's good.
Yeah, I would just say real quick, just on this little subject that we kind of hit on. I think another lie that sometimes I allow myself to believe is that what I have to share with the younger generation is not relevant to them, or they're like, you know what I mean? They're not interested. Like I'm from the old school, I'm from the golden era or whatever, specifically in the context of hip hop, right? So, but that what debunks that lie is the experiences that we've had time and time and time again with students of all ages from K all the way through college who open up and who express like gratitude for what they're experiencing in the group and in the classroom. So I have a little remember folder on my desktop. It's just called remember, and I'll take screenshots of things or I'll make a little note and I'll just throw it in the folder so that when those lies come and start like knocking me down, I'm like, hold on, let me pull this up and see this little message that the 7th grader sent me, like, oh yeah, boom, debunked. Like the lie is not it's a lie, it's not true. And I have actual evidence to show that. So,
That's good.
yeah.
Because there is always, we think that they don't get it, but they really appreciate. May not realize it now, but they always come back. I remember when you said such and so, right? And they really appreciate it. So establishing those relationships and bringing that wisdom that may not sound like how they're saying it today, they'll get it. They remember, and they come back many times to say thank you. Many times they don't, but many times they do, and they do come back to say thank you. So we have. I'm sorry, Randy, were you going to say something?
No, I said absolutely. You got it.
I think we have we've talked a lot about the fibs, but I think we've talked about the possibility too,
Mm.
of our stepping into. We've kind of crossed into that as well. Can we go a little bit deeper into that?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. What is a future, or what future is possible for you as a creative, right? So we identified some truths, we identified some fibs that we, sometimes believe, and then we looked at the evidence that debunks, those lies. And so with all of that information, what future is possible for you as a creative and as a mentor?
Don't all speak at once,
Mhm.
but I see you processing. I see the
Mhm.
wheels turning.
There you go.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Oh, yes, sir, Mike. What future is possible for you as a creative? Like what when you look ahead, considering all the data we just kind of uncovered, what's true about you? What are some lies that we've been battling? Okay, now we debunk those lies with some evidence. Now what future do you have in sight when you look ahead, um, at yourself as a creative and also as a mentor of creatives? What future is possible? So for example, like what I said earlier when I was talking about, the lie was um, my work determines my worth, right? That's a lie. That's not true. So we debunk that. I'm made in the image of God. My identity is not in my project; it's in my person. So we debunk that. So then a future possibility for me that I can envision is that I can get to a place where I'm actually creating from a place of contentment, not from a place of like I need affirmation, I need validation, I need to feel like I'm worth something. It's more like, you know what I mean? So that was like a future possibility for me as an artist.
Yeah, I think for me to help others to explore and unlock their gifts.
Mm,
Uh, I think one, and because I think a lot of that comes with exposure as well.
Mhm.
Exposure to tools, knowledge, information, different places. So I think just right now, I mean, because I'm really pondering and processing all these questions, 'cause it's making me think. So
mhm.
you want us to answer, respond quick. I'm really thinking about this because
It's great.
it makes sense, and I think you got to think like that if you want to get to that next place.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Mike. We're doing like the kind of rapid fire version of this, but this is definitely something that you can sit with and really reflect and journal and write out and have your students work through and really uncover some deep things. I know when I do it, I uncover some deep things. So, but yeah, for the sake of this call, we're kind of just doing a cursory, overview of it. But thank you for sharing that.
Can I piggyback on something Jeremy said earlier about the its, right? And having to, let me see how he put it. Uh, he said, I have to make it happen, all the its, right? Sometimes in my devotional this morning brought up the point that sometimes we have a fear of missing out, right? Because we got to do it. We got to be involved. We have to have our hand in it. We have to, we, me, right? But there can be freedom
Mm.
in of missing out, right? Um, because we don't have to be in everything, but we mentor. We hopefully are trying to develop a ripple effect of others to take our place. So we empower others to do the things that we have been doing. And hopefully the things that we've been doing well, people grab onto them. So we should have a freedom of missing out. as we empower our youth to take our place. Does that make sense?
It does.
Gerald's
Yeah.
like, well, kinda.
But actually, it's a great segue because we wanted to add on to the question and kind of point it a little more specifically to what future possibility can you step into supporting you creative youth, and Mike kind of spoke to that and unlocking their potential and providing them tools, and then you just spoke to that too. But yeah, I want to open it up to everyone. What future can we step into, or excuse me, what future possibility can we step into supporting creative youth?
I'll jump in. I think creating intentional time and space for creativity. I think we can, depending on your touch point of working with youth, I think like we create plenty of time for programming, and structured programming based on what we think or the young people need or what we think may work for us in our program. But sometimes you need to just create space and opportunity for unstructured creativity, and allow that to be the thing. And maybe it won't produce a desired result that we're looking for out of it, but it allows young people to, maybe it's just put it down arts and crafts. Maybe it's opening time to record music or whatever that looks like, and just let them be. And because I think for me personally, somebody who used to be a spoken word artist, I always joke and say I'm retired. But I often say that I don't have time to be creative, because I'm always doing and doing. But the reality is, it's not that I don't have time. I don't create intentional space to be creative because my life is so structured. Like my day is planned out from 9 to 8 every day. So I have everything in certain buckets. And I think that's the same way we do our young people. And so, and if I don't know how to do that for myself, it's going to be difficult for me to try to create that same space and opportunity for young people. So I think we got to get away from structured programming and find intentional ways to just let them be and let them show us things that is beyond our imagination that they could create.
I love that. Yeah, that's powerful, Thomas. I needed to hear that. That's powerful. Yes, creating those intentional spaces for creativity is priceless. I like to think of it like for myself, I always like to keep one foot in the familiar and one foot in the foreign. So like, I'm kind of have a steady footing on one side, but on the other side, I'm in this new uncharted territory, just this space of like anything can happen, very creative and anything is possible. Also makes me think of this scene in the movie Ferrari versus Ford. I don't know if y'all saw that movie, but it was wild. So, Ford was going through this time where their sales were down and everything. And so, the CEO comes in the factory and he's like, yo, shut everything down, shut the machines down. Because they were doing very structure. And he shut everything down. And he told him, he said, everybody needs to walk home and just ruminate and just have space to think and imagine, because what had happened, they were in a rut of just producing. And that's kind of what I was hearing with what you were sharing, just like that structure of like, this is how it goes. And there's no space for, imagination and creativity to flourish. So very important. Thank you for sharing that.
I'd be kind of curious to maybe hear from the creative standpoint, while there are these spaces for them to create, to be creative, I think one of the things that from some of the young people I work with, over time you develop, if you will, this library, this vault of all these expressions. And then there's this space where there is no space for it to go beyond the vault. And I wonder, if the creative arts ministry can put in place, if you will, a marketing element as well, where those gifts, talents, skills, and expressions and all this stuff that they create has a platform somewhere to be displayed beyond the four walls of the youth ministry or the classroom. And is there the school auditorium? Is there the whatever? Is there the church stage and ensuring in that, or is there the summer camp? Where now all this stuff can be on display. Because I think after a while you get, again, all these great ideas flowing and all this stuff that is genius, but if there's no opportunity for it to move forward, some of the kids check out.
Yeah, if I give you a fish, I feed you for a day. If I show you how to fish, you feed yourself for life. And for me, in my younger years, I used to be a construction trainer, and I trained young adults 16 to 24 how to do construction and build homes. And now I can't even count how many of those young people are either in the field or they have their own construction companies. And back when I was young, and in training, I would take my students with me on side jobs. We'd remodel apartment complexes, hang drywall. So I got a chance to kind of model. And so sometimes they come back and say, "Man, you the one who showed me how to finish drywall. You showed me how to set doors." And now I'm making money off of it. So, and I know people, that's all they do is have their own construction company. And likewise, um, I don't want to go. My minute is up, but yeah, I just want to say that.
No, it's good.
Sure, I'll pop in here as well. I think for me, I have a real distinct memory of going, hey, I haven't been blessed to have grandkids, but I have a nephew, and he and I had spent a lot of time together, and we went to this garden that we have, and there was an art show, and so we were looking at one of the pieces of art, and the docent looks at him and says, "Oh, do you like art?" And he looks at him and goes, he's 8 at the time. Of course, we're artists. And I think that's something that sometimes kids have when they're little. And as they grow, having them have that identity that they are creative and that they are an artist, I hope he doesn't lose. So how do we as leaders nurture that and continue to grow that is something I often think of.
That's good.
I think that community component, like Gerald was saying, other opportunities for the youth to hone in on their craft or showcase their craft, their talent, their gift, really helps. I know that though being a creative it's like in my bloodline, but it was still my orchestra teacher in junior high school that was where that was honed in on me, where I love taking students to community events, whether to see them or to participate in them. But those things really help as well.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that come to mind is what Thrive has done with the murals. Giving an opportunity for public display, and not only public display, but public affirmation. That goes deep into the heart of a child or a young person and their confidence in what their art can actually achieve. Again, beyond the four walls of the youth ministry or the gymnasium or wherever they are. And so identifying those platforms and creating spaces where that exposure can happen, I think is critical because it's a value add and speaks to their confidence. And it's a debunker also when now the public is singing my praises, so to speak. And then you have the extra job of helping them to maintain humility.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I would add that I think too that when you give them a chance to have a platform to share what they've created, I think all of us are coming from a spiritual perspective, and so it gives them also a way to share their faith, their story of what it's like to be a follower, what it's like to be in relationship with God. And that gives them confidence, and it also solidifies, parts of their own journey with God. And so I think that's also a really important value that brings.
I just want to underscore something that Gerald said. Thank you for acknowledging the murals. But I think one of the reasons why the output is so significant is because it reflects the example of the creator that we see in Genesis 1 through 3. Right? The fundamental truth of scripture is that God, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and that creation looked like a lot of output, a lot of very diverse output. Like not one thing he created is a mirror image of another thing he created. So to the earlier point that sometimes we develop kind of this archive, and instead of creating something new, we just go back to the archive and repackage it or rebrand it, and it becomes stale and it's not life-giving anymore. But to be able to regenerate and replenish and do it, in a way that reflects that creative imagination, that lasts, right? And it outlives the experience, and it becomes a memory. But when there's an output, that memory has a way of finding us when we need encouragement. And it's like, you remember when you did this thing, and it can change so much for so long beyond that one experience.
So true.
Yeah, good point. You know what, man? I wish the other guy could have stayed on, Corey, because he has a model in the Twin Cities where they have a video studio, recording studio, for young people. And so they get to create, but there's also a component of the whole thing about them publishing, the administrative side of how they get their stuff in the public platforms, I guess YouTube channels, etc. And touring is involved also with big showcases in the summer. So it's like almost like a wraparound to some extent from an artistic standpoint. That it's like, I think, just a great model to, again, give kids a full experience of their creativity coming to life, being appreciated, earning money, and all those things. Yeah, it's all, I mean, really a lot of possibilities.
Amazing.
Yeah. So speaking of possibilities, I know we're down to like the last 14 minutes or so here. Let's talk about future possibilities. Some more.
We must. No, I was just seeing in the chat. We must create a space that's up to the youth and not putting our agenda in place. We can allow ourselves to get in their circle. Creating space for youth without forcing our agendas.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. Okay, were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just with the future possibilities and some of what you all are saying, I think what's emerging is like providing opportunities and pathways for youth to experience their art outside of the classroom, outside of the church setting, outside of whatever workshop or program space we're in. And I think there are lots of different ways to do that, but one of the ways that we've been able to lean into that is through internships. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some of the students who go through the program as, just students, but have an interest and a talent, and an eagerness to learn, they come on board later and help us facilitate the next program with other students, so they get to learn just a different avenue, and become a teacher in the process as well. That's been one kind of like a pathway from students to intern to just paid teaching artists out in the world doing their art, you know.
That's good. Really good. So I think we're hearing various ways that this can continue in a more organic fashion. How can we here on this call, how can we facilitate collaboration? Is there a way? We're from all over? I don't know where all of you guys are from. I just know Gerald and Stephanie, Jeremy and Randy, where you're from, but we're from all over the country. Do you see ways or for collaboration that, or have you heard? I know I love when Randy said he has, what did he call that box? His remember folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
On his desk where he remembers anything that he feels is a nugget that he needs to hold on to, and he puts it in that folder. Are there things or ways that we can collaborate from here? We've heard a lot of good things today. I see you shaking heads, yes. Any ideas on how to do that? Connections or co-creations? How can we support each other?
I feel like Jeremy got the answer to this.
He looked like he got the answer. I see it.
The ultimate resource networker.
You're too kind. But the answer, I think, is this collection of people on the call. You know, it's the fact that it starts with a willingness, at least from my experience, a willingness to look beyond ourselves, you know, and to ask for help and to ask for help, not just for our own agenda, but like the invitation to craft something together that in that stage, like when you co-imagine, it's like I know that there is no hip hop program at Thrive Collective without Randy Mason and his gift set and him having a platform and a space and a community that supports him, right? And then I get to go along for the ride and celebrate it and enjoy it and be as invested as I can be. But because ultimately, you know, God's given him a gift to share, and by sharing it with him, that gift enriches my life too. Along with, you know, I think when that's the frame, then collaboration becomes not just possible, but practiced.
That's good. It's real good. Any other ideas?
You know, one of the most powerful things that I think of with creatives is the idea that they need to have an audience. And so, like, we can be creative for them or we can help them in their creativity, but ultimately, like, finding ways to celebrate them and celebrate their gift, I think goes a long way. Whether that's an art show or, allowing them a space to perform with people that don't normally see them. So that they can get that information and see that they can bring, joy to people through their giftedness.
I think it's also important to be able to tell your story. And what I mean by that is, so I'm looking at the people on this call. I know some of the stuff you do. I know the context in which you do ministry, and some of the major things and some of the major impact and influence you're having in your communities that other people on this call have no clue about. And so if there's an opportunity to have a conversation off this call with somebody else that you don't know, you'd be surprised what you learn. and what opportunities there are to share resources. I love that somebody put a core value in the chat coverage, but also interdependence. I think one of those things about creatives is that, you have what is called intellectual property. This is mine. I want my royalties, my residuals, my credits, my attribution, my quotes, which is all great. But being able to share as well leads to collaboration. And so open to sharing is critical. And sharing who you are, what you know, what you got, and also being a listener to the other person and what they know and what they have as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say if possible, I think Stephanie mentioned you might be able to do this like after the call, just shooting out an email with everybody's links, emails, kind of websites, so that we can have that in a as a reference. So to learn about, okay, what's happening in this city and what's happening where you all are, and then we could reach out to one another as the Lord leads.
Oh.
Yeah, following this call, I will send out a copy of the recording as well as any resources that are shared. If you guys have other resources, I did send out an email today. Feel free to shoot them to me if there's something that you would like to have this group be aware of that you're doing or that you know of. Our hope is to have you guys resourced and connect with each other. So feel free to send things my way.
It seemed like it was some kind of way, just thinking out loud, where the group is kind of broken up into genres, if you will, where whatever kind of their skill set is, that's, the people who have that skill or involved in that particular environment, maybe there could be some collaboration there. At least you can know that, hey, I'm in the nonprofit sector, or I'm in the music sector, I'm over here in film. These are the people who really do this, and then that could be a decent starting point to collaborate a lot easier versus trying to start from the floor.
I think you just prophesied and can take the lead on it, bro, and make it happen, Mike. We empower people, man, to step into those kind of spaces.
I'm just thinking out loud.
Good idea.
All right. Well, yeah, look for Stephanie's email, link to this conversation, contact information as well. But you can also, for those of you that are alumni, tap into that DVULI website, go to the directory, and you can find anybody you want. And if you can't remember a name, call us. We'll help you figure it out. And it may take me a little bit longer, but we'll definitely figure it out. I do want to acknowledge one of our special guests on today. His name is Ron Brown. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ron is a spouse to one of our alumni, and Ron does some amazing things as a trainer in leadership as well. So I just want to say, man, thank you for joining us today. And I'm just going to do a shameless plug, Kay Brown. She kills it in Pittsburgh every summer with this big event called Jesus Anoints Me. And it's massive. It's a collaborative effort with a lot of our alumni in Pittsburgh as well. Mike Dean, you should check it out, bro. It's only 3 hours from where you are. And yeah, sorry to do that, but Kay, I put you on the spot there a little bit. But Brian and Kay do some amazing stuff in Pittsburgh. So yeah, definitely good stuff. All right. Let's take any final comments. We got 4 minutes, and if there's no other questions, contributions.
Do have something. I have something to say real quick.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how quick it's going to be. How much time y'all got?
You got 30 seconds.
No.
Go.
How many?
30, 29.
30 seconds. Well, this whole connection here has gotten my has kind of rejuvenated me. Have you ever come to a place where you're feeling dry and you're not hearing what God is saying for your next program or your next event, or how he wants to orchestrate it all? I got to that place and you guys helped me, because the interesting thing would be is to have Randy maybe do a hip hop artist, gospel something, you know. And I was thinking, because my husband, we did a talent search a couple of years ago, I think before we moved to Alabama, and we had judges identified a gospel artist. She was only 15 years old. She won. And one of the pastors wrote her an original song. And she got to perform it at the next jam section. And it was really interesting. And, seemed like we could do maybe a national search through DVULI and do something similar to get, to drum up what we're doing as believers, of Christ. And because I just don't think it's enough that we're doing together. Okay, I have more, but maybe I'll write it down.
Write it down, and you'll have contact to everybody, and y'all can go ahead and make it happen.
Call Valerie Mims.
Awesome.
The liaison in that area.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is very possible. Very possible. 37 cities across the country we have alumni in, and more cities than that. So collaboration nationally is highly possible.
Right.
Jeremy Del Rio has kicked that off with School Partners USA in a huge way. And so may not be all 37, but there's the possibility of it being more than, where it is now. All right. On that note, we are at the end of our time. I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. Moderators, Randy and Benita, thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Stephanie, next month we are doing another one in March on what subject is that?
On youth mental health.
Youth and mental health. Yeah. So
Youth
if
and
anybody
mental
wants
health.
Yep. Anybody want to join that conversation? We'll start promoting and marketing that. We actually already have, and so I'm happy to be a part of that conversation as well. Look for an email from Stephanie. I think those are all of my closing announcements. I always like to close out with a quick blessing and prayer. Can we just bow our heads briefly? We'll call it a night. Father, we just thank you for this opportunity for us to have this conversation. We pray, Lord God, that something was said and or done tonight, Lord God, that would encourage these individuals and spur them on to next level in greatness in their communities and the youth that they are serving. Father, for every mission statement, every vision statement, every budget, every grant proposal that's already in, I ask God in Jesus' name you would flourish